So, have you ever really stopped to think about what makes your brain, well, your brain? Today, we're going to dive into one of the most powerful, frankly, mind blowing ideas in all of neuroscience. And that's the fact that your brain, it isn't some fixed, static thing. Nope. It's constantly changing, adapting, and literally rewiring itself based on everything you do every single day. Now, to really wrap our heads around this, we first have to tackle a really old belief. I mean, something that was considered scientific fact for a very, very long time. So, let me ask you this. Is the brain you have right now, at this very moment, the same one you're going to have tomorrow or next year? For most of the 20th century, the scientific community would have given you a hard yes, no question about it. I mean, that is a massive shift in thinking, right? For decades, the solid consensus was that once you hit adulthood, your brain was pretty much locked in place, set in stone. But we now know that's just not true, not at all. Your brain is in a constant state of flux, always reorganizing itself, building new pathways in response to literally everything you experience. So, this amazing ability for the brain to change and adapt, well, it has a name. And honestly, it's the key to understanding everything we're going to talk about next. And that name is neuroplasticity. It's basically a combination of neuro, for your neurons, the nerve cells in your brain, and plasticity, which just means it's changeable, it's malleable. Think about it. Every single time you learn something new, create a memory, or even recover from an injury, that's neuroplasticity in action. You're living it. And what's really wild is even though the term itself sounds pretty modern, the core idea has been floating around for a while. I mean, way back in 1890, the psychologist William James was already talking about this plastic nature of our habits. And he just nailed the description. Our brains are built to change, but they have enough structure that they don't just, fall apart with every new thought. It's incredible. It just took science almost 100 years to actually prove him right. Okay, so how does this rewiring actually happen on a practical level? Well, it really breaks down into two main types. First up, you've got structural plasticity. And this is exactly what it sounds like, actual physical changes to the brain structure. It's literally growing new connections between your neurons. The roadmap analogy is perfect. It's like building brand new streets in a growing city. And then you have functional plasticity. This is all about the brain moving jobs around. If one part of the brain gets damaged, a totally different healthy area can learn to take over its function. Think of it like rerouting all the traffic when a major highway bridge is out. Super clever. All right, this is where it gets really, really cool. Let's talk about some incredible real-world examples that show just how insanely powerful this process is. So let's start with London taxi drivers. This study is famous for a reason. To get their license, these drivers have to memorize something called the knowledge, which is this insane mental map of 25,000 streets. And what researchers found is that this intense learning process physically changed their brains. Their hippocampus, that's the part of your brain that's a big deal for memory and navigation, it actually grew larger. How amazing is that? Or what about phantom pain? A huge number of people who've had a limb amputated, like 60 to 80%, feel pain in a limb that isn't even there anymore. It's heartbreaking, but the neuroscientist V.S. Ramachandran came up with this brilliantly simple solution, a mirror box. By using mirrors to trick the brain into seeing the missing limb again, he could help the brain remap its own wiring and, in many cases, completely get rid of the pain. That's functional plasticity at its most powerful. And we see the same incredible power with stroke recovery. When a stroke damages part of the brain, things like speech or movement can be lost. But with therapy and a lot of repetition, completely different healthy parts of the brain can actually learn to take over those lost jobs. It's a perfect real-world example of that traffic rerouting we were talking about earlier. Okay, but this one might be the most mind-blowing example of all. There are blind individuals who have taught themselves a form of human echolocation. They make clicking sounds with their mouth and then interpret the echoes to see the world around them. It's like they're a bat or a dolphin. And when scientists put them in a brain scanner, they found something astonishing. The visual cortex, the part of the brain that's supposed to process light from your eyes, had been completely hijacked. It rewired itself to process sound instead. Just wow. But look, it's not just about these incredible, extreme cases. It happens to all of us. Just the act of learning a second language physically alters your brain. Studies have shown that people who are multilingual have denser gray matter, and that's where most of your brain's neurons hang out, in a specific part of the brain that handles language. So it's happening all the time.
Okay, so we've seen the proof. The brain can change, and it does change. But the big question is, so what? What does this actually mean for you, for me, in our daily lives? How can we actually use this knowledge?
And this, right here, is the most crucial point of all. Neuroplasticity isn't just a passive thing that happens to you. It's something you can actively drive. You can be in the driver's seat. The choices you make, the things you decide to learn, they can literally physically shape the structure and function of your brain. So, how do you do it? Well, research points to some really powerful activators. We're talking about things like aerobic exercise, meditation, and learning any kind of complex new skill. Think picking up a guitar or trying a new language. These are all proven ways to fire up those positive brain changes. Even just engaging with art or listening to music can help forge new pathways. But how does something like exercise actually change your brain? Well, when you get your heart pumping, your body starts producing all these incredible compounds. One of the absolute superstars is something called BDNF. That stands for brain-derived neurotrophic factor. And the easiest way to think about it is like miracle grow for your brain. It's fertilizer for your neurons, helping them grow, survive, and make stronger connections. And that really brings us to the final, most important thought. Your brain isn't a finished statue. It's a piece of clay, and it's being molded every single day. The experiences you choose, the skills you decide to practice, even the thoughts you allow yourself to think, all of it is sculpting what your brain will become tomorrow. So the only question left, really, is what are you teaching your brain today?